To lose body fat, you have to be in a caloric deficit. And what's helped me and a lot of other people adhere to a calorie deficit is intermittent fasting. And if you're finding that at the end of the day, you're binging, that's what's ruining your progress. And so intermittent fasting might be something you want to consider. Today, I'll show you how to use intermittent fasting for fat loss. I'll explain what it is, how it works, and then a simple strategy that I used myself to make this transformation in a very short amount of time. I'm Asher Robinson. I'm an online fitness coach. Let's get into it. What is intermittent fasting? In simple terms, it's shortening the window in which you're consuming food. And so if you wake up and you eat right away and you eat right before you go to bed, that's 16 hours where you're eating. But somebody who intermittently fasts, they start their eating later in the day. So instead of having 16 hours to eat, maybe they have 8 hours to eat or 10 hours to eat. And so it's not a magic bullet that's going to strip fat off your body. It's just a simple strategy that a lot of people use to help them adhere better to their diet, whatever that may be. And so how does it work? Intermittent fasting is less of a cool, sciencey thing that will help you get better results. And it's more helping you stick with the behaviors that are in line with your goals, which in this case are to lose fat. And so now I'm going to share with you the strategy that I use. And if it sounds like something you think might help you, you can implement it into your own life. The very first thing that I would do, and that if you're going to do this, I think you should do, is to pick a window that you're comfortable with. A lot of people, myself included, we wake up and we're like, let's go. I'm motivated. I'm ready to go. And then 11 p.m. rolls around and you're 3 pints deep into chocolate ice cream. Or the nighttime rolls around and you're like, it was a stressful day at work. I'm going to order whatever. And then all of a sudden, all of your day's hard work out the window. But don't worry, it's okay, because you can restart tomorrow and the cycle continues. If that sounds familiar, that might be why you're not making progress. And because it's a lot harder to stay disciplined at night, if you felt fuller around that time where your cravings kick in, would you be less likely to overeat? The answer is yes. And so in the morning, when you're really disciplined, there's no need to eat. And so whenever you start to feel hungry, that's when your window starts. And then whenever you go to bed is the end of your window. And so what you might notice and what I've noticed is that when I wake up and I dive right into something, like I open my laptop and start working, or if you go to work and you start working, you might realize you weren't actually hungry in the morning. You were just used to eating breakfast. And that takes me to my next point, which is if you just distract yourself, you might notice you weren't actually hungry. You were just used to eating, or you were just bored. Or maybe you thought, I heard breakfast was the most important meal of the day, so I ate something. But you don't have to. And if you're not actually hungry, I think you shouldn't. I'll give you an example. This morning, I woke up at 4 a.m. Around that time. I got right to work. I finished with my work for the morning. I went to the gym. I got back home. I worked some more. And then I thought, I'm kind of hungry. I look at the clock. It's 1 p.m. Assuming I slept for 8 hours, plus the 9 hours I didn't eat, that's 17 hours of no calories going into my body. Which means even if I ate like complete garbage, I would only have 7 hours to do it, which cuts down on the amount of trash I could stuff in my mouth. And so a practical takeaway is when you wake up, do something other than eat, because you're probably not hungry. You're just used to eating. Now, for the people who are hungry in the morning, I want to give you a trick that I use to stop myself from being hungry, and that is caffeine. I love caffeine. I like tea, I like coffee, I like energy drinks. They're all great. And a lot of people use caffeine to wake themselves up. But something you might not know is that caffeine is actually an appetite suppressant. And even if I'm a little bit hungry, after I have my first coffee, I'm just thinking, I want to get done whatever I need to get done. The hunger fades, I'm locked in on whatever I'm doing, and I have enough energy to get me through my first few hours of the day. So if you're a coffee drinker or a tea drinker or an energy drink consumer, cool, that's good. Have a coffee in the morning. It'll help you be less hungry, and you'll have the energy and the focus you need to tackle whatever you have to do at the start of that day. Now, those last 3 tips or strategies I gave you are great, and they work for pushing your eating window later in the day. But eventually, you have to eat. We all do. to survive. And if you have any idea of what you're supposed to be eating, like you have a calorie target and a protein target, you want to make sure that you hit those before the end of the day. But we know from what I was talking about previously that late nights are really what gets you. Your cravings kick in, you're hungry, and that's when you binge. My opinion is, I think you should front load your protein. And there are two main reasons why I do this and why I think it might help you. The first reason is, if you have a protein target for the day, you're not going to want to eat a bland chicken breast right before you go to sleep. Your cravings just kicked in, and what are the chances you're going to choose that plain chicken breast over something a little bit more delicious, a little bit more fatty and carb heavy? It's unlikely. And so front loading that protein helps you get a jump on your daily protein target. But the second reason, and the more important reason, is that protein blunts your hunger. It is the most satiating macronutrient, which in simple terms means it makes you feel more full and it keeps you fuller longer. And so a practical takeaway is, make your first meal something very high in protein. And so just to recap the strategy that I use and that you can implement into your life. Pick a window. You don't have to eat breakfast if you're not hungry. Whenever you naturally get hungry, that's when you should start eating. Number 2, distract yourself. If you get a jump on the day's work, you might realize 4 or 5 hours into working, oh, now I'm hungry. I didn't have to eat breakfast. Number 3, caffeine is your best friend. Not only does it give you energy and focus, but it also blunts your hunger, which for your goal of losing fat is a good thing. And number 4, when you do finally break your fast, start with something very high in protein. Not only will it help you get a jump start on your daily protein goal, but it also keeps you fuller longer. That's it.